Welcome back to the news today. This is One on One. Well, tonight we welcome leading Israeli photojournalist Ziv Koren, whose main focus is on issues such as the Israeli-Arab conflict, regional wars, poverty, and tsunamis, just to name a few. His photographs have been published in numerous international publications, including Time Magazine, Newsweek, U.S. News, and World Report. Mr. Koren was the subject of a documentary film, More Than 1,000 Words, which was widely screened in film festivals around the globe and has won 7 awards. Well, congratulations on that, first of all.
Thank you.
Tell us, I know you're working on a new project right now, an exhibition that's due to open next week called Writing with Light. It opens on December 4th at the
Correct.
Tel Aviv exhibition grounds here. Tell us about that project.
About 4 years ago, I decided to go deeper in my understanding of photography and how light is being used in photography. I know it's a subject that has been dealt with since the beginning, from day one, from the invention of the camera. But I thought that, especially nowadays, with that everybody's a photographer and we all hold cell phones and take pictures, and everybody's an amateur photographer at this point or another. I thought to kind of go deeper into the understanding of what light in photography means, and I started just wandering around looking for the right light, traveling around the world looking for the good light.
Traveling
basically.
the world looking for the right light.
Pretty much,
Sounds
yes.
very artistic. I'll have to attend the exhibition to see this. You mentioned something really interesting here about everyone having a camera, everyone being not photojournalist, but everyone being a photographer at some level now today. Yeah. And we see that so much with the news, with the hard news, especially in conflict zones where maybe journalists can't reach a lot of these areas. How has that sort of recent flooding of photography into the world changed the arena? Has it changed the world even?
In a way, I agree, but first of all, we're getting footage from events that probably will not be exposed any other way. I mean, if it's from Syria or from events happening on the streets, and you even have these probably, I think it's a police cameras that take pictures of crossings, and you do get some footage that there was probably no other way. But even if you look at history, you'll find that a lot of the leading images that were published in newspapers were taken by amateurs, and that's okay. I mean, even the landing on the moon, I mean, they did not send a photojournalist to take a picture of Neil Armstrong landing on the moon in '69. So
there's something to the image itself, or the subject at least, not the photographer.
It's true, but still, if you talk about real photojournalism, telling a story through images, I mean, still you need a photographer to be behind the camera to hold the machine. I mean, at the end of the day, not every person that holds a pen is a writer. So obviously, not every person with a cell phone is a photographer. I mean, he can take pictures of what he eats or his kids, in Halloween or Purim. But in order to
does the image still have the same value though? Now that the world's flooded with so many.
I think this is part of the question that I asked myself while working on this project. I mean, what is the role of the professional documentarist in today's new era of the fact that everybody takes pictures?
Well, this new era, most notably this summer, the war between Israel and in the Gaza Strip, the war against Hamas. 50-day conflict now, Operation Protective Edge. You were there. I was one of the only photojournalists to actually go into the Gaza Strip on the Israeli side, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I was embedded with the paratroopers inside Gaza, but I was, during the whole course of these 50 days that you've mentioned, I took part. I mean, every day taking a decision, what will be the story of tomorrow? Is it the fact that there are missiles being shot on Tel Aviv, which was very different than previous operations that I photographed, or how the IDF is entering Gaza and the tunnels that were very different than before?
The images, at least, were driving the narrative for much of the media, much of world opinion. Did you feel the same way? Did you feel that burden on you as you were documenting this war?
In a way, because I feel that there's a story that has to be told. And we're very confined on both sides, by the way, by trying. We're very close, but not really able to take pictures of the thing itself from both sides. I'm saying, the photographers working on the Palestinian side were confined, and it's not a democracy, and they can do whatever they want. And here as well, I have to admit that we were not freely allowed to photograph. I mean, it was all a closed military zone, and we were trying to sneak in and find a way to get the picture for tomorrow's tomorrow's newspaper, not just for tomorrow's newspaper, but for history. I mean, we're dealing not just, with how the conflict will look in the next day's paper, but how would it reflect in the course of 10 or 20 or 30 years.
Well, this is obviously not a profession for the faint-hearted. Facing some of the worst images, facing some of the ugliest things that the world has to offer, has to show. How does the psychological fortitude, how important is that in your line of work?
First of all, it's extremely important. Take into consideration, one, that I've been doing this for 25 years. And second thing, that this is exactly what turns you into a professional. I mean, as I said before, there's a story that has to be told. And it's nothing, I can't take it personally, even though it's all personal. Especially that I was not sent to do a story overseas. This is my backyard. And it's a very hard story to tell. But it has to be told, and I think that it's a responsibility and an obligation. It's not just a profession.
How do you decide, or is there a narrative that you try to? Do you establish a narrative before you go into your photo projects, or do you find that the images define that for you?
It really depends. When you talk about a war situation, I don't choose. It happens, and I know that I have to be there. On other stories, obviously, yes, I take a decision if I think it's important enough. If I open the internet in the morning and I see that Haiti, the headline was probably one of the worst disasters in history about the earthquake in Haiti, my first reaction, yes, is to leave everything and to travel to Haiti to tell the story.
You started your career, correct me if I'm wrong, in the military, as a photographer for the Israel Defense Force, 1988 to I think 91, roughly.
You've done a good
eventful
search,
years.
yes.
How did that shape you? Did that convince you that this is what you wanted to do?
Yes, I did not start my career in the military thinking that this was what I'm going to do in life. It was during my service that it was the first Gulf War in 1991. And I think at this point I understood that, no, this is my mission. Being in the right time, at the right place, telling the story.
And the power behind these images.
Exactly. Having the ability to show the world what is really happening and be in the hardcore of the event. I think
and being an Israeli, there's an added hardcore element there. You're a citizen. You're living this. You don't leave it behind when you come home from work. How does that define your work now, that you're living in it?
You totally live it. It's a way of living. First of all, I think that photojournalism is a way of living. It's not, as I said, it's not just a profession. Especially, I live in Tel Aviv during the 2002 and 3 that there were bus bombings and restaurants being blown up by terrorism almost on a daily basis. We've experienced, personally, I can say that while going out, knowing that there was an attack or a suicide bomber, I call my wife and ask her where is she, and Tel Aviv is not such a big place. You can easily find somebody wrapped in a plastic bag. You
faced these conflict zones, and I think this is very exemplary here in the conflict between Israel and Palestine. The camera sometimes can encourage activity on the street. If you're at a scene that's tense and people are, looking to get violent, sometimes when they see that camera, that's an excuse for action. Do you find the opposite sometimes?
Yeah, I think I've seen both. I've seen where it kind of created kind of a mini uprising of people wanting to show more than the event is really happening just because there is a camera present in the event. But on the other side, I've been experiencing situations where an event of stone throwing escalated into almost murder that was pretty much stopped because the fact there were cameras there and because they understood that it will probably lead to their arrest because they were not face covered. So, irregardless, the camera, a part of conflict, a part of world conflict, and you bring the story to the world. Thank you very much for joining us, Ziv Koren. Pleasure is mine. Thank you.
And that's all for the program tonight. I'm David Matlin. Thank you for being with us.